to what was indeed a monster Monday, a huge start to the week. Insert adjective here. Stocks surging to kick it off. The Dow rising 1,293 points today. The NASDAQ posted big gains, up 4.5%. And one tech stock really took off in today's session, but for a couple of reasons. Twitter shares jumping nearly 8%. Probably part of that was, of course, just getting caught up in the market rally. The other part? Elliott Management, the massive hedge fund, making a move on the company. Julia Borston is in L.A. with more on what is sure to be a Twitter fight for all time. Julia.
Well, Brian, Twitter shares soaring on the news that the activist investor is looking to oust CEO Jack Dorsey. A source close to the situation tells me that Paul Singer's Elliott Management is concerned about Dorsey splitting his attention between Twitter and Square and about his plans to spend months this year in Africa. That source says Elliott has taken a more than $1 billion stake in Twitter and has nominated 4 new directors to the board. Now, Twitter and Elliott have no comment, but that source tells me that talks between the two parties have been productive. Now, Elliott can target Twitter, unlike Facebook or Snap, because Twitter only has one class of stock, and Dorsey does not have voting control over the company. Now, between when Dorsey returned as CEO of Twitter in 2015 and just this past Friday, Twitter shares were down 6%. The stock did plummet more than 20% after reporting disappointing third quarter results back in October. Now, Evercore weighing in on Elliott's move this morning, upgrading Twitter to inline from underperform and raising its price target on the stock to $33. Evercore predicting that Elliott will either pursue cost cuts or could install a CEO that could increase the probability that Twitter will be sold. Now, all of this news comes as Twitter's Dorsey cancels his speech at South by Southwest, scheduled for about 2 weeks from now, as the company bans all non-critical travel due to coronavirus. Brian?
All right, Julia Borston, NLA. Julia, thank you very much. Anybody buying or owning Twitter just based on the Elliott fight?
Well,
No.
I owned it before that. I mean, look, Twitter just had its best quarter ever, I would argue, in terms of daily active users, in terms of their revenue profile. And this was after a very disappointing previous quarter. So I like Twitter. I've owned it for a long time, and I've recognized that I think they've had trouble truly monetizing. But I think there's real progress there, and there's absolutely a key brand. Now, the thing about Elliott is that they usually say they're stepping involved, and they have a whole litany of things that they want to change. They haven't said anything here. All they've said is they want a new CEO who focuses fully on one company, and that's interesting. And obviously, they benefit just by saying that.
Well, it is crazy, right? I mean, that he's the CEO of 2 companies, and Square is he's able to get away with it because Square has done phenomenally well. I mean, it's been an extraordinary home run. Twitter, on the other hand, has really sort of bounced back and forth for years. And then to get on and say, all right, I'm going to move to Africa half the time, it is so crazy. There's no other country in the U.S. It's absurd. There's no other country in the U.S. People get a lot, they yell at CEOs who live in California, but they work in Texas and they commute on Mondays to Thursdays or whatever it is. This is insane. Now, apparently he's saying that Africa is where the future of the business lies, maybe, or that could be. It's just the board at Twitter has sort of gotten away from, they've sort of been somewhat anonymous, and that's no longer the case. And their most important job is who is the CEO of this company. And I don't know that
do they need a new CEO?
They need a full-time CEO. Yeah, I think they do.
Who's not living literally a continent away.
Correct. Yes.
Elliott might agree.
I think also it's good when you work at a company, you want the CEO to be
there
around.
physically
Yes.
in the office so you can avoid him or her as much as possible.
But this was also a relatively easy target, right? In that the fact you have a CEO that does have 2 jobs, they doesn't have a vote, he can't block it, and you have a stock price that's down. So, to me, this was more about Elliott saying, hey, this is an easy target where we might be able to pick up a couple percentage points if we go in and move things around, rather than it being, a condemnation of Jack Dorsey.